to the podcast. Welcome to the live. Like I said, I'm a licensed realtor here in Houston, Texas. Been doing so for 15 years. And what I want to talk about today is, should you sell or lease your Houston home? And the reason that I'm looking to talk about this conversation is because I want to know, like, how many of you guys right now are Houston homeowners that have asked yourself the question, should I sell my home or should I lease my home? Because once you finish this live, I'm going to not only provide you with clarity around the questions you should be asking yourself to decide which one is the best fit for you, yet I'm also going to give you some tactical strategies so that way you're successful whether you desire to sell your home or lease your home here in Houston, Harris County. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the chat, let me know where you guys are from, and let me get into it. So, number one, I have felt lately like real estate has been glamorized into this get rich quick hustle. I've even heard some refer to it as a game. And one of the things that I think concerns me with that approach or that mindset is it gets treated like gambling more than it does a business, or more than it does with strategy. And so what I really like to convey right now is that if you are desiring to become a landlord in Houston, then recognize that it is a financial decision and it deserves to be approached appropriately. So before you lease, check the math, check your goals, because being a landlord is a business and not a side effect. Let's get into it. So number one, the first thing that I want you guys to identify is, what is your personal goal? Why even do it? I mean, because if you're just saying this is something I want to do because it's popular, it sounds great, most successful people own rental properties. Absolutely, they do. They have cash flow, they build cash flow. And I listen to Myron Golden a lot. And one of the things that he talks about is cash flow over cash grow. And I'll tell you what this means. So he talked about the time that it would take for you to become a millionaire if you were to just solely base it off of your savings, your current pace of savings. And I don't know if math, I mean, go check out Myron. And yet basically, and this is a principle that I believe, is that you cannot save your way to wealth. And so I recently was on a podcast with She Can Work, and we were talking about how, like I said, I've been in real estate for 15 years. In the 15 years that I've been in real estate, or the 15 years that I've been working, I started working at 15. My first job was at Sonic. In the 15 years that I have been working, compared to the 15 years that I have owned real estate, my net worth, my value, right, my savings has been 20x by owning real estate compared to the amount that I had physically saved in a bank account after 15 years of working. And that's really when I had a perspective shift just on the idea that you cannot save your way to wealth. I think it's really great and honorable to work, and most of us do. And yet what I learned in that comparison is that if we have two options in life. Either we're going to work for money, or our money is going to work for us. And so when we talk about owning real estate and then also creating a wealth portfolio through owning rental properties and becoming a landlord, understand that it's so that way you can create the strategic wealth building plan towards wealth. So like I said, before we start talking about rental income and sales price, let's ask first, what are you actually looking to accomplish? Okay. And so go ahead and put in the chat, just based off the conversation, are you looking to sell your home or looking to lease your home? And here's some questions I want you guys to consider. Number one, do you want cash flow? Number two, do you want to use your equity towards your new house? And I'm going to show you guys a way that you can have both, right? You don't necessarily have to sell your home in order for you to buy another home. And I'm going to talk to you guys about that. Just make sure that you hit subscribe and stay to the end of this live. We'll talk for about 20 minutes. Number three, do you desire to build long-term wealth through real estate? Because here's the thing. There's a whole lot of talk. I believe in it. I see you in the chat. You understand it. Yet there's a lot of people that are not looking to own real estate, don't believe that building wealth through real estate is the strategy they want to use. There's so many different ways that you can build wealth in this world. So if you're not trying to do it, that's a choice too, and it's the right choice for you. So number three, do you want to build long-term wealth through real estate? And then number four, my numbers are getting off. Do you want less responsibility and more simplicity? And one more final question. Have you simply outgrown your current home and do you need a better fit? Okay, so why am I giving you guys these questions? Well, number one, because clarity is power. And I believe before I tell you what to do, it's better for me to ask you, what have you been thinking about doing? So let me go ahead and just put this disclaimer out there, right? Not everybody wants Not everybody wants to own multiple properties, and that's okay. The right decision should support your life and should support your financial goals. And so let's talk about when selling can actually make sense. Number one, selling may be a better choice if you are looking to access the equity in your house for the next purchase of your home. Now, I told you that I promised that I would give you some other strategies, which I will. However, you may be looking to sell because you want to use the net proceeds of the sale of your home, which let me just go over equity real quick and net proceeds. So when you sell your home, there's a fair market value for your house based on location, what's selling around you, and the condition of your home. Then there's the payoff of what you owe. And so you get that in your statement every month. Your equity is the difference between fair market value minus cost of sale. That's your net proceeds. So taxes, broker fees, insurance, any closing costs that are associated with the sale of your home, that's what equals your functioning equity. It's not always just what you see on paper. It's not always just the email that you get from realtor.com saying your equity X. Well, no, because there's a cost of sale that's associated with that. And so when we talk about your net proceeds for a larger down payment, many people have lived in their home for 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years. There's a good possibility, especially if you've owned your home for more than 7 years, that you have significant equity in your home. And so being able to, most people, when they buy their first home, they purchase it with like 3.5% down. That's the typical down payment for most first-time home buyers. They may have even qualified for a down payment assistance grant. They may have been able to leverage different type of loan products like a VA loan or a USDA loan where it's 0% down. So I always say if you do it right, your first home will be the last home that you actually have to pull money from your savings or your 401k to purchase the next home. And so a lot of times when people are looking to sell, they want to use those net proceeds. They want to use that earned equity that they have just from living in the home, letting the market and time do its work, and then apply that towards the next home for a larger down payment. This could be anywhere between 5 to 20% down, and the reason why most people will do that is because it changes the loan type. I think one of the things that people often forget is that FHA loans have private mortgage insurance. And this is going to be important when we talk about becoming a landlord, because when you have private mortgage insurance, that is a line item insurance that protects the lender in the event that you foreclose. So it doesn't benefit you. That's one more cost item that is impacting your bottom line if you decide to become a landlord. And so when we talk about when does selling make sense, maybe you want to use the net proceeds for the down payment on the house. Maybe you want to improve the loan terms for your next purchase. And that's what I was just saying in regards to the different type of loan. When you put more down, typically, you're financing less. You can possibly get a better rate. You may not have things like private mortgage insurance. And so the loan terms and conditions on your next purchase may be stronger. Number three, you reduce the stress and the responsibility of managing another property. I know y'all be on the internet just like me. I know sometimes you see these horror stories of landlords and the way that they are receiving the property back after a tenant has moved out. And so I think it's very important for you to know your noise tolerance, understand your bandwidth when it actually comes to managing other people, managing properties. Do you want to get that phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning talking about the toilets overflooding, the AC went out, or whatever emergency happens? And a great way to circumvent this is to build your team and hire property management. I understand that there's a cost associated, yet wealthy people value their time. And so as you build your wealth building journey, you recognize that, there's not a lot of bragging that goes into like having everybody command your time. When you're able to start leveraging your time and hiring a person, I'm going to hire this property management company to deal with these returns. I'm going to make sure that I've got a bench of tenants in case I can reduce the vacancies. That's going to help you in the long run. Maybe you also just want to simplify your finances if being a landlord isn't your style, right? When you sell your home, a lot of people are using that not only to purchase their next home, yet to pay down debt, to increase their savings, to feel a little bit more financially secure. So there are a lot of benefits that happen when you sell your home. You may need that lump sum. You may that may just be where you are. So clarity is power. Now, here's when leasing can make sense. We're going to compare sell versus leasing your home in Houston. Number one, you want to let that property build equity over time. And this is especially important if you've moved to an area or a neighborhood that's still continuing to grow. When you sell your home, you're bowing out of the rest of the remainder of that appreciation. And I talked to so many investors that had great property and they sold it. And they're like, man, I should have held on to that one. So don't let a short-term pain impact a long-term opportunity. Make sure that you are clear on what your goals are, which is how we started the conversation. So you may want to let the property continue to build equity. That's one of the benefits is when you become a landlord, you have a tenant, you're providing housing, you're providing a service, and then also they're paying down the mortgage. You still get to benefit from the appreciating equity from still owning that property. Number two, monthly cash flow. So like I said, listening to Myron Golden, cash flow over cash grow. A lot of times we get comfortable with an amount in a bank account. We're like, man, I got $100,000. I'm not going to touch it. And that $100,000 doesn't grow. And so over time, what ends up happening, it starts dwindling. It starts dwindling from 100,000 to 80,000. You start using it for life, and so you negate all of the work that you've done to build that 100,000. What would it look like if you invested that into a rental property, and then now every month you're creating cash flow? This doesn't mean that you're going to get like $10,000 a month in cash flow. That's not even realistic, but you can. Maybe it's an extra $200 or $300, right? Maybe just depending on the market rent and how you entered the deal. That's what's going to determine your cash flow. Okay, so there are a few things that impact your market, and that's the location, the condition of the home, how you entered the deal, and what you need to actually clear so that way you're profitable. And then make sure, number one, also that you're creating systems so that way the property can operate smoothly. And so whether it comes down to evictions, like I said, repairs, having contractors, handymen, accountability. During Hurricane Harvey, I leased out my home. And one of the reasons why that was successful is because I had a system. I had housekeeping actually for my tenants, so that way it was actually a win-win. It helped them out, but personally, I just wanted to make sure that the property wasn't returned destroyed. You have contractors, their EC went out, and so all of that was because of a system that I had in place. Yet, even with the managing that I was doing personally, because that's before that, at that time, I didn't have property management. I learned I need property management because I did get that call on the weekend that ACs were out and I had to call somebody and come down there. I did have to deal with managing rent payments. And so, like I said, it might be fun the first 2-3 months, maybe even 4 or 5. After a while, especially as your portfolio grows, you don't want to be the one that's making that call. However, it is important to make sure that you understand the numbers. So leasing only works when it's profitable. And profit is not rent minus mortgage payment. You have to remember, you have to have insurance. Your insurance is typically going to be higher if you are not occupying the property. You have to manage for vacancies, manage for repairs, incidentals. And so understanding your numbers going into the decision to become a landlord here in Houston is important because it can very much become a headache and a money pit. And then tenants typically don't return the property back in the same condition that they have it. So even when you do desire to sell, you probably don't have the same condition of property when you originally moved out of it. And so you want to keep that in mind. So here's some of the math to consider when you're looking to become a real world landlord. Mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, maintenance and repair reserves, vacancy reserve, and then property management costs. The great news is that I have a worksheet that will help you manage your property so that way you can not only make a smart and buy, but manage your cash flow. Comment analysis. I don't know. Comment analysis if you guys want a copy. So it's just important to know that in Houston, those line items matter. And a property that looks profitable at first glance may not be profitable once you count the full cost of ownership. And I think I've seen this most, especially as it relates to like Airbnbs. A lot of people have gotten into real estate looking at Airbnbs as a strategy, especially when you own the property. You're not talking about arbitrage yet. When you own the property, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is the interest rate that you secured that property at and the vacancies of the Airbnb. It's very easy to say, oh, this duplex looks great. I'm going to put it on Airbnb. And I have clients who have been very successful with that strategy. Yet as the market changes, you want to make sure that you don't lock yourself in to only one type of strategy in the event that the market shifts and now you're having difficulty keeping that property. You're having to be forced to sell. So you want to stress test the property. Run the numbers once when everything goes right, and then run them again when all shit goes to hell, right? So, for example, what would it look like if you went one month without a tenant? If you had an unexpected repair, we talk about, I'm in Houston, so we get hurricanes, right? You may have insurance and yet you still may be responsible for that deductible. What happens if your insurance goes up because now you had a claim at renewal? Tenant turnover, tenants not paying the rent. These are all worst case scenarios that you still want to stress test the deal. So if you're not able to keep the home if the tenant misses rent, keep the home if a major repair happens, you may not be ready to be a landlord. This isn't to scare you. It's just, I think a lot of times we don't have honest conversation on the math of real estate, and that ends up creating resentment with people. And they're like, well, I tried that, I did that, I lost it all, that happened, a tenant this. You know, it's a business decision. And I even say that when people talk about their landlords, you know, and what they think should happen. You know, this is not just free housing. You know, there are avenues to get housing assistance. Your landlord may not be one of them. And so it's very important that you keep that in mind. And then finally, just in regards to like your lifestyle question, and I want you guys to be honest about this. And let me know in the chat, like, is this helping, or what questions did you have? I see some of you guys saying that at least the second option, holding on to the property, is best. Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, that's my strategy, yet it's also when the numbers make sense. So be honest about the type of landlord that you want to be. Number one, do you want to be a hands-on landlord, like with management, involvement, repairs? Are you that dude? You might have more margin. It may require more time. Or are you the leveraged investor type? And that means less involvement. You have a team around you, yet it could impact your cash flow. I always say, don't step over dollars to pick up dimes. I would buy my time back, right? I like to buy my time back. It's, for example, like my lawn guy, right? He comes every 2 weeks. It's like $30. I prefer that over being outside cutting my grass and edging it. It takes him 30 minutes. It'd probably take me 3 hours, maybe, on a good day. And it's hot outside, right? I like to buy my time back. What can I do? What is the value of my time? So you either want to be a hands-on landlord or you want to be a leveraged investor. And so if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about selling your home in Houston or leasing your home in Houston, the next step is simple. Go ahead and comment, compare, subscribe right now to this channel, and let's talk about what makes best sense for you guys. I have a link to my calendar in my description. You can definitely schedule a time for us to have a conversation. You can hit the follow button, or you can subscribe to my Substack, and I'll put all that information in the comment in the description. Yet, when you're asking for analysis, even if we don't talk, right? When you're meeting with a realtor, here's some questions that I want you to ask the realtor when they're in front of you. Number one, what are the estimated net proceeds if I sell my home? Number two, what's the realistic market rent if I lease? Now, keep in mind, it is not going to benefit you to command a sales price or a lease price that nobody is going to buy or apply for. So you want to know what is the realistic market rent, because being overpriced, and again, having those vacancies, that costs you too. There's a dollar amount associated with the delay cost of not being able to sell your home, not being able to lease your home. Number three, what is the monthly cost analysis after all of the expenses? So we talked about that earlier. And then number four, make a comparison based on your actual financial and lifestyle goals. So clarity is power. I'm super big on numbers. The moral of the story of all of this is that it's not about making a decision based off of a guess, a headline, or what somebody else, not even me, is doing. It's about you making a decision based on your numbers and your goals. So if you are looking to sell or lease your home here in Houston, I would be happy to help you compare both plans. We can take a look at your potential proceeds from the sale of your home. We can look at the realistic income if you were to rent, and I'd love to be of assistance. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I love hopping on for love. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. I trust this helps.